Yeah.
Just because my mouth is shut does not mean that I'm being respectful. And I actually Googled the actual definition of respect, and it said to admire the qualities of someone. But I feel like it's so much more than that.
Yeah, I definitely, I don't think I've ever put admiration. I don't think I've ever like matched the two together.
Me
It's
either.
interesting that's like the Google definition.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree with you as far as the respect and the love dynamic with men and women. Like, if it's equally as important for a woman to feel loved, and like we're familiar with that. We know like how it would feel if we're in a relationship or a marriage and we don't feel loved.
Yeah.
And if our husbands are feeling the same way because they don't feel respected, like how many marriages, like I just imagine that like most marriages, their husbands don't feel respected.
Yeah. Most modern marriages today, it is wild because it's pushed so much onto us. It's normal.
Right.
And then take it. They just take it. They live that way. And
Yeah.
that's why I believe there's a lot of the rates for offing yourself for
Right.
men is much higher, and men are really struggling in marriages today
Mm-hmm.
due to it being so nonchalant for women to be so disrespectful in their marriages.
Right. It is normalized.
Normalized. That's the
Yeah.
word.
Why do you think, or where do you think that that comes from? Where have we been learning this disrespectful trend that is normal? And where should we be learning how to respect and why to respect?
Well, ultimately, it's coming from the devil, of course, but it's a deception that's being pushed through our media, through music, through TV shows. I mean, even going to school, it's so permeated throughout our culture to it's just culturally the thing to do to disrespect men.
Right.
And it's a form or a way to destroy the family unit. And we see that today, that more and more women do not respect their husbands. So it's leading to divorce. It's leading to abuse. It's leading to broken homes. It's just it's causing this huge division in family. And
How like where should we be learning it from?
well, biblically, we should be learning it from, or at least how to be a wife from the older women. But we're not even getting that from them either.
Yes, because they
So
are also disrespecting their husband. Like it's just yeah.
yeah, they're questioning the younger generation who are trying to correct these generational mindsets, and shaming the younger women who are trying to do better, because it shines the light on what it is that they're not doing. I've received such horrible advice from older women.
Really?
Yes, just the worst advice ever.
Were they married? Were they married women?
No, and I should have known better. And that was a great question. They were divorced older women, and I should have known better. But I've also received bad advice from married older women as well, but not to the extent of the unmarried women.
Yeah.
You're right. Yeah.
And I think like it's weird. Like I don't know, how old are you, if you don't mind me asking?
I'm 33.
I'm 33 too. It's weird. I just had this thought, last week. I was like, am I an older woman? Like, am I an older woman? Like, I'm 33. I don't really see myself as older, but I feel the urgency to teach younger women that are same age as me. I mean, I might be reaching older women, but it's just like nobody's teaching us. Almost everyone can say, my mom did not teach me how to be a wife, how to be this, how to be this, how to be this. Like the things that really matter, we're not being taught that. And then in the Bible, that's where we should be also getting the knowledge from that. But that's not being really preached in churches. I don't hear that preached in churches. I hear superficial things, or if it's things about marriage, you have to go to like the marriage seminars in the church. It's not just like a general message that they're giving on Sundays.
And then when you do see the few churches that may speak on it, is very sugar coated to coddle the feelings of the women of the church. And I see that often. I remember in the beginning of my marriage, I was struggling with submission. I was rebellious and I didn't like it. It was hard. I felt like, oh, Jesus, you must love him more than me then. I was pretty rebellious. I was 22. So I just didn't really understand it. And well, I was 24 when I got married. But I went to a pastor, my first lady, and asked her about submitting to my husband and respect and how it's been so hard and I need help, I need prayer. And she told me, oh no, he's supposed to submit to you too. What are you talking about? That's what she advised me.
Oh,
She said,
okay.
no, you got it all wrong. He's supposed to submit to you. Y'all both submit to each other. So you're stressing over nothing. And
Oh my gosh.
I'm like, okay. And I go talk to my husband, like, you're supposed to submit to me too. And he's like, you got this from the first lady. And so we had to do a Bible study. And I realized how I've never seen these scriptures before in my life.
Right.
And how it's something that the church just do not like to touch on in its purity.
Yeah.
Submit to your husband in all things. But then you'll hear, but what if this? What if that? And unless this and but this, but the Bible doesn't say ifs or buts. It says submit to him in all things. And it's done. That's it.
Right.
There's no prerequisite
Period.
other than marriage.
Right. That's a good point. That's a good point. And I know, like, not to get, because I'll go in a hinge about modern churches, but not to go all the way there. But that is sad that like so many parts of the Bible are just so like unknown to us. We can be in the church for 10, 20 years, going every single Sunday, and know so little about God's word, how to be a wife, and how for husbands too. But I wanna hear about. You mentioned like that point where you were given advice, the husband should submit to you. And then you brought it to your husband and then he said, all right, let's do some Bible study on this. Mm-hmm. Tell me about how you pivoted, or maybe like some scenarios that changed after that. Like in your mind, the pivot.
It took a minute because although I trust him, I trusted him leading me in the word. So I believed what I seen because it was right in front of me. And I also believed him and understood where he was coming from and that he wasn't trying to manipulate me or harm me. I trusted him enough that he was leading me in a good direction. But at the end of the day, it was still something in my flesh that was just so hard to make that mindset change. What happened was there was a moment, I think me and my husband were in an argument. Oh, no, we weren't even in an argument. We were talking about a video we seen about who's the or what will you bring to the table and all of this stuff. And then my husband says, I am the table. I was like, what are you talking about? Humble yourself. That's how I was like, why would you say that? But he wasn't directing it to me. He was just, assessing the video. And so I didn't want to argue and make it into a fight, but I wanted to pick his brain and like, what makes you feel like that? So he explains to me, and it still went in one ear and out the other. I went into prayer that night. I think he went to go play the video game or something. And I went into prayer because I didn't like it. I felt like he was being prideful and all the words in my mind that I wanted to describe him as. And I'm like, God, what's up with your son? Why is he saying? I used to tell on him all the time. So I'm like, why would he say some mess like that? You need to get him. Why does he think he's the table? And I felt in my spirit God say this. And I was like completely humbled at that moment. I was so confused. I cried because it didn't feel good to hear that. And then I'm like, no way, God. That was you that just said that. I know it wasn't me that said that.
Right.
So, and at that moment, I just really got on my knees and was like, how I want to be able to accept this. I want to be able to see him the way that I'm supposed to. I don't want to feel this way anymore.
Mm,
Fix me.
mm,
And from that day forward, it just took that moment of humility to say, fix me
yeah,
because I don't like this.
yeah,
And that's when my mind started to change and I started to look at the word of God differently and be able to chew it up and actually digest what I was reading. And then First Peter 3 was presented to me, and I thought that that was even more hard for any woman to accept, that even if your husband is not being who he needs to be in God, even if he is being ungodly or disobeying the word of God, you
mm,
still need to respect, love, and honor him, because that is how you win him over to Christ, not through fighting him and disrespecting him. And did my own way before. I disrespected him. I met him with his same energy. That's how I seen it. He would, you're being disrespectful. I'm like, well, you were too. So I get to be disrespectful too. If you were mean to me, I can be mean to you. That's godly. That's how I felt.
yeah,
This is how it's supposed to be. I'm a human being. Um, in doing that, it didn't change anything. It only made things worse. And now the point that I was trying to get across isn't getting made across. He doesn't hear you anymore
right.
because he's focused on the disrespect. He's not focused on the fact that you're right. It doesn't matter if you're right if you're going to disrespect him at the same time. He's not even going to hear you. There won't be any resolution to this issue.
And that's I love hearing that transformation and the prayers that you were making. And I had a very similar pivot in my marriage, probably around like year two, maybe 1.5. And for so long, I was just like, God, fix him,
Yes.
smite him, oh mighty smiter, like. And
Yeah.
yeah, and I had to change my prayers to, okay, God, show me what is it that I'm doing wrong. Help me be the best wife I can be for him. Instead of just
Yes.
like him, I started, okay, what is it? What am I doing wrong?
Mm-hmm.
But my prayer wasn't necessarily in the respect sense. It was just it still tied to it. Like the way that I was respecting my husband prior to this pivot, night and day difference from
Yeah.
afterwards. Even though I wasn't praying and trying to figure out respect, it came with that pivot.
It came with it, right?
It came with it.
And the thing is I don't know about your history, but my mother was twice divorced, so I didn't really get to see a good marriage last, and she was never a submissive wife. But respecting a man was brand new to me.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I respect men for their strengths. I respected them knowing that, they could break my face if they wanted to. I respected that part about them, but I
Yeah.
didn't respect them as men. There were the things that I would do, and I wish I can think of it, but that's the old me is gone. But there were things that I would do, and my husband was like, "Yeah, that's disrespectful." And I'm like, well, how is that disrespectful? I don't understand.
Mm-hmm.
And it took a lot of time for me to really recognize what respect really was in the first place. I didn't even understand how to respect him. I
Right.
thought that I was, but I'm rolling my eyes and I'm pouting and my arms are crossed.
Yeah.
Just because my mouth is shut does not mean that I'm being respectful.
Mm.
And
Right.
stuff like that, I just was that those little parts of respect I didn't get.
Yeah. I would say the same for me. And similar to you, my mom twice divorced. I did not witness uh, I mean, I witnessed her being respectful in a subtle way, but I never witnessed any like I never really witnessed any conflict, so I didn't know what a respectful conflict looked like. And everything that I learned about that happened after I got married. And I'm thankful that, I had a pivot in the marriage because I don't think we would still be married today. Mention like some things that you used to do before. I can think of one thing in particular that I did in year one of our marriage or that I used to do. And I would go to Facebook anytime that there was an issue. I would go and post some vague status, but everybody and their mom, everybody and their mama knew I was talking about my husband. And I didn't connect the two, that was publicly disrespecting him.
Yeah.
And that was showing other people that I don't respect my marriage. So why would they respect my marriage?
Yep.
And I had issues with friends, from like college that were used to me getting drunk, going out all the time. They were used to that.
Mm-hmm.
And then they see me publicly disrespecting my husband. Why should they? Oh, this is just the same Victoria,
Yeah.
And it opened up the door for them to talk about my husband, even to my face, because they're like, she doesn't respect him. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. Right. Exactly. Yeah.
But small things like that some of it just had to be trial and error.
Yeah.
And even after the pivot, there's still trial and error scenarios that I'm still learning. I'm still learning. Like, I'll give another example. One day, so my husband is not an expert in cars. And one day I had to do something with my mom's car. What is it? Jump the battery.
Oh,
jump the battery. Oh no, I would never try to jump the battery. And I, which one, the negative with the positive? I don't know which one. I don't want to get blown up. And I called a family friend who was a male. And this family friend is not a threat to us. I was like, oh, this is a safe person to call. Hey, which one is the negative and positive? Whatever. But I didn't go to my husband first. And I did not know that was disrespectful. My husband had to check me and be like, that's super disrespectful. You should have called me. Doesn't matter what he knows about cars. I still should have called him first. And then, there's an order of operations here.
Yeah, let daddy solve the problem.
Right. Or let him call somebody else to solve the problem. Can you think of a specific scenario so we can help teach these people? Learn from our mistakes. Don't go through it. Learn from our mistakes. Is there one that you can think of that you didn't know was disrespect?
Yes. Talking to his mother about my gripes about him. I thought it was safe because it was his mother. She's not going to hate you. She's not going to treat you any different. She is your mother. She loves you. So we should be able to talk to each other about you. Yeah, that didn't end well. It did cause problems within our marriage because, I'm getting advice from her. I don't think personally that you should be talking to anyone about your husband unless you have his consent and he knows what you're talking about, or you're doing it together, like for counseling or something like that.
Yeah.
But especially leave your family members out of your marriage, even if it's his family.
Right.
There's no safety there.
Yeah.
So I found out that was disrespectful because, of course, things may come up and he's like, well, how do you know this? And then it's just like, oh, so y'all are gossiping behind my back. That's not right. That's not right. So yeah, that was a big thing. And I think all wives should stay clear of gossiping or venting with anyone honestly about your husband. If you have a problem, you pray about it and take it to him.
There you go. Take it to the principal, I like to call it. Just go straight to the principal. There's no need to talk to the classmates. Just go to the principal.
Yep.
God can handle it. Especially if you've
seen him handle it. He can do it.
Yeah. Sometimes he does it very quickly too.
Yeah, very fast, or may chug along. But especially in the beginning of my marriage, and I think it was just God showing that I could teaching me that I can trust him. He, immediately when I started to learn to pray, like he said, to pray about yourself and how could I have made this situation better? How could this situation have been different? Teach me to be better so this won't happen again. And then all of a sudden my husband's coming and apologize to me.
Listen, yes. Yes.
Right. It worked.
Yeah. And I want to touch on that because correcting is another form of disrespect. Yes, as wives, we can be helpmates and instill wisdom in our husbands without being an authority figure
Yes.
over him that's, like trying to convict him of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So that there's a balance there. But if my husband were doing something and I feel really strongly that I'm right, like I know I'm right, like morally, but he's not getting it. I'm not gonna sit here and just be like, I told you this, and like I'm not gonna go here. I'm just gonna be like, I'm just gonna go straight to God.
Yeah.
Can you please, literally, this is what my prayer is, literally. God, can you please convict whichever one of us is wrong? And I don't even just say
Whichever one of us. Convict
right,
him.
whichever one of us.
Yeah.
I still feel like I'm right, but
Mm-hmm.
whichever one of us is wrong, please tell that person. We're on the same team, and correcting him, even if correcting him like outside of an argument, even if it's just something simple like maybe he says something wrong, or I don't know. If I correct him in front of other people, that's disrespectful.
Yes. Yeah. Never do that. Even if he's just flat out wrong, you be wrong with him and walk together wrong. And then if there needs to be a conversation, have it. But a lot of times there doesn't even need to be a conversation. Take it to God.
Mm-hmm.
And there is a way to talk to your husband. No one's saying that you gotta, be afraid to talk to him, but choose your battles. You don't, there's no need to, like you said, especially in front of people, to correct him, especially if it's not affecting anything. Let him learn on his own. You're not his mom.
Right.
Yeah. I've learned that just throwing your hands up, I honestly, makes a better leader out of your husband anyways, because he's left to figure a lot of these things out on his own. And it makes for, like I said, a better leader, a more wiser person.
Yeah. And this reminds me of what you said a little while ago about like if I were just keep going and going and going and going at him, he's gonna put up a wall. The same way that someone would if you're coming at him disrespectfully, like aggressively, they're not gonna hear what you're saying. He's gonna put up a wall. Even if I'm not coming at him aggressively, just again and again, me trying to say, no, you need to do this. No, you should do this. No, you should do that. And then that. Even if my tone is not disrespectful, me trying to be like that, what's the word? Micromanaging of him, he's going to put a wall up. Why? Because then I'm the leader.
Exactly. And what that communicates is that you don't trust him.
Right.
And that's a shot at a man's ego. And I say it all the time, and the feminists will cringe, but stroke your husband's ego. Someone else will. How about that? Someone else will. So you be that one.
Right.
You be that one to gas him up. Don't always be the negative voice in his ear, because he's not gonna be excited to run through the door. He's gonna sit in the car an extra hour. Scrolling through his phone, because he knows he's going to come home to someone who is mad that you left your coffee cup in the sink.
Right.
When you have something to say to your husband, don't wait until he has blown up already because he's mad at you. And you're like, well, you did the same thing, or just the other day. It's all about your timing.
Yeah.
And coming to him with humility, out of a place of concern and love, not a place of control and leadership. Like, I'm better than you because you did this wrong.
That's a very good point too. I don't think I've ever pinpointed that verbally about timing. But yeah, if there's a time and a place for certain things, and not every battle has to be had on Tuesday. Spread it out. Give the other days of the week a chance.
Yeah. And a lot of times when you just sit on it, pray about it, you're not even bothered by it by the end of the day, and it's not worth even talking about. Right. So that's why I say just choose your battles. It's not everything. You don't need to have a conversation. Can we talk? You know, in the 90s movies, when the man hears, can we talk, or we need to talk, it's like their heart drops into their stomach. Don't make it so that your home is a place of anxiety, of what did I do now type of mindset that your husband has to walk around in.
Okay, so I want to ask you, because I think you mentioned it before, how do you know when you've done something that's disrespectful? Like, how do you find out about it? Does your husband check you each time?
At this point, no, he doesn't check me each time. In the beginning of our marriage, because I was in training, he showed me and explained to me and gave me the reasons why. Now, not so much because should be at a place where I don't need all the explanation anymore. But now I'll start to feel the wall being built.
Yeah,
Because you become one more and more, because you grow into, you're not just one immediately as soon as you say
right.
I do. It's a gradual, you grow. And I could feel it. I could feel the distance there. I could see the disappointment in his eyes. And he's starting to shut down. I may not receive as much love, or the flirting and all the things that happen throughout the day may not be so much that day because I disrespected him. I usually know immediately, though.
Hmm.
As soon as it comes out my mouth, I know I shouldn't have said it. I
Okay.
already know. But if I didn't know that I did it personally, it's usually just by his demeanor and the interactions that we have throughout the day.
Okay. I would say, one, are we married to the same guy? Because my
But
husband my husband is the
some
same
God
way. I
fearing
can
men.
I can read him so well. Like if I've done something that's disrespectful or really anything, I can tell on his face and his countenance and his
Mhm,
demeanor it changed. There's a shift. My husband likes to wait before coming to me about something. So
mhm,
let's say he's upset about me. He's upset with me for doing whatever.
mhm,
He won't immediately come to me and tell me. He'll wait. He'll sit on it. He'll pray on it. He'll reflect on it. Like, should I be? Was I in the wrong? Should I be upset about this? Is this a good reason to be upset about? Like, he'll do all this processing on his own
mhm,
before he comes to me. And since we've been married for a long time, I've learned a long time ago to let him sit in that and
mm.
wait. I don't need to be like, okay, what's wrong? Okay, what's wrong? Can you tell me now? Are you gonna tell me now? Can you please
Can
tell
you
me now?
talk to
What's
me
wrong? Please,
again?
please. I know it's something wrong. I know you. Like, I feel like I don't know if that would be considered disrespect, but I do feel like that's nagging.
Yeah,
And I
especially.
don't, yeah, and it's not going to help him to tell me whatever it is that he needs to tell me if I'm pressuring him into telling me now, right now. I want to know now. Like that's not, that's
Yeah.
not helpful.
But is it different when you go to him knowing what the problem is with an apology?
If, if, is it different? Like, is what different? Is his
Does he
demeanor different?
receive you?
He
Does
does.
he receive you? Is it better for you to go to him? Do you call it nagging when you go to him? I did this. I was wrong. I see that it's bothered you, and I'm sorry I did that to you.
That's absolutely not nagging. That is exactly what he would want to
What
hear.
you want?
Yeah,
Yeah.
me to own up to it and not attach an excuse to that apology. Not be like,
Hmm.
I did this because blah blah blah. He doesn't need to hear all that. I'm
Hmm.
sorry, I should have done that. That's it.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
it.
And I think because my husband does that too. He doesn't address it right away. And I always figured that maybe he's leaving me space and time to address it first so I can apologize without him having to correct me.
That's a
At
that's
least
a
that's what I assume. I don't know what's going on in his head, but I assume that he's giving me the time to fix it before
mhm.
it becomes a bigger problem.
Okay. That's a good perspective too. I
Yeah.
haven't looked at it like that. And I used to pry when I mean
Me too.
pry with a capital P. I was a professional prior at
Hmm.
my husband's mind, and he
Hmm.
did not like that.
Yeah.
But I was able to get that answer from him. He was like, "Listen, I'm trying to go to God. I'm trying to like fix things and deal with things before I come to you, so I could come to you with a level head, cool." But and I had to respect that.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll give you some time to go to God first, get a level head, then come to me. I'll give you time. I'm not going to give you 2 weeks now, but
No. Yeah.
it
Tortured.
is. Should respect be contingent upon something, upon anything? We mentioned that in the beginning, but what is the answer to that, and why is that the answer?
Um, we could say it should be contingent upon marriage, but I believe that you should respect all people regardless of who they are to you. But the level of respect that we're talking about when submission is paired with that, the only thing is marriage. That's it. You said I do to him. You trust him to lead you. You trust him in God's hand. No matter how you may feel, you should respect him. And this is one of the biggest lessons in my marriage that I think definitely kept us together was learning First Peter 3 to respect regardless of how I may feel. And the biggest thing that helped me was to pray, Lord, help me see my husband the way that you see him. Because I don't right now, and I need to be able to see him in a better light so I can respect him properly. And usually I'll start to think on the good things, or God will start to reveal to me who my husband is. The man that I was attracted to from the get-go, the man that I knew I could follow blindly, that's the man that you're trying to act like you feel a certain way about. Don't forget that that's who that is. He's a child of God just like you. He's a sinner just like you. You mess up. We all mess up. Love him despite that. So that prayer has definitely helped.
Yeah, that's such a beautiful, like, genuine prayer just by itself. That one sentence. What did you say? Help me see him how you see him.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really pretty. And I wonder about, like, I see it so often online. People are like, I would not submit to a husband unless this. Like, I'll submit to him. I'll respect him if he leads me. If he this. Like, what is your take on that? I know we mentioned it in the beginning, but I want.
Yeah, at that point, that sounds like a you flaw. You have bad taste in men, and that's your fault. You chose him, so you need to. That's how I feel about it. I'm so, you know how Instagram is and online. I'm so tired of hearing this. I'm so tired. It's from everybody too, from the Christian women, even the women who are on this platform teaching how to be biblical wives. They teach that as well. It is extremely unbiblical because God loved us despite our actions. God loves us despite our sins. So we should do the same when it comes to our husbands, the person that we have covenant with him and God. This isn't just for him. This is for God. And I think that's another thing that women don't really put into perspective in their mind, that marriage isn't just you and your husband. That commitment that I do was before God. Like, this is a 3-stranded cord. Like, 3 people are in this marriage. And when you decide to go against what God says a wife ought to do for her husband, you're going against God.
Yeah. Yeah. And when you enter into a marriage, like, the commandment is already in place. Husbands, love your wives like this. Wives, respect your husbands, submit to your husbands like this. Commandment's already there. So as soon as you enter the marriage, boom. If someone is, again, like you said, if he's not leading you, if he's not loving you like that, why did you say yes? Like, are we still doing arranged marriages in 2024? I don't know. Why did you say yes? You could have picked better. But even if he's not, the Bible lays that out for us too in 1 Peter 3, that your husband can be won over by your respectful conversation, like how you are.
Your character.
It still shows, so that it's like there should be no excuse then.
No, because, and that's what I love about the Bible. I mean, we're his creation. He knows us better than anybody else. He knows us. He knows his creation. He knows man, and he gives us the keys. A lot of women will say, well, why would a God want you to suffer through emotional abuse, or a bad man who can't lead? Why would he want you to suffer through this? And it's like, he doesn't. That is exactly why he gives us these keys, so we don't have to suffer. We don't have to suffer. Maybe for a moment, because we probably chose the wrong type of man, or maybe for a moment because he's just as flawed as you are. Because I mean, he came from somewhere. There was a moment where he had to love you despite your flaws.
Right.
Well, I think we tend to get to big headed into thinking that our ish don't stink. They have to deal with stuff, and I think men are different from women. They don't nag and groan about all the things that annoy them. They kind of just keep it in a lot of the time. So we don't even know the things that we're doing that annoys them, that they just deal with because they just love us anyway.
Yeah.
We don't hear all of that because honestly, men don't really have that platform anyways. They're seen as weak, and if you're just gonna sit here and complain about your wife all day, that's your fault. You're the leader. You chose her. They don't even get the room to do that. But we do.
I know. Well, this has been fabulous. I hope that there's someone out there that has learned an ounce of what we are trying to teach from our many years of marriage so far. I hope you guys will take this, take it into your marriage, your current marriage, your future marriage, improve it, and God bless. Is there anything you want to say to them and to our viewers, and where can they find you online?
Thank you again for tuning in. My name is Jazmine. You can find me at Family Values TV on Instagram and YouTube. I don't upload as much on YouTube, but I'm always on Instagram. To wrap this up, the most important thing I think we all should take from this conversation is we need Jesus, and we cannot do this without him. So take it all to him, and he will lead you. He will teach you. Even if you weren't taught as a child, he will.
There you go. Amen.